Hello, you're welcome. You're welcome onto my channel today, and it gives me great joy to observe you having this video. I'm Dr. Olayinka Akanle. I'm a lecturer in the university. I'm a sociologist. On this channel, I do a number of stuff, but all the stuff I do on this channel, you can group them into four: sociology, research, relationship, and migration. Meanwhile, if you have not subscribed to this channel, kindly go ahead and click subscribe on your screen right now. Tap subscribe on your screen right now to subscribe to this channel for wonderful content. The video today is very important because it's against the background of so many confusions. Students have asked me, different people have asked me what paradigms are, especially in comparison with perspective. Therefore, this video is on paradigm. I will drop another video immediately after this on perspective, so people can have clarity. I've read many books about, I've listened to many people about paradigm, about perspectives. I can confirm to you there are too many confusions. So I want to rest these confusions, in this video and the next one, based on my intervention. I've done researches, I've done so many things to make sure that I solve this puzzle especially for younger academics and students. So the video today is paradigms in sociology and social sciences, meanings, characteristics, types. I'll talk about meanings, I'll talk about their characteristics, I'll talk about their types, I'll talk about examples. Talking about meanings, examples, types, characteristics, so that you have clear understanding. So paradigms. You must have heard of paradigm in science because sociology is a science. I have a video on sociology as a science here. You can view it. It's a social science, social science course and social sciences, broadly speaking. We deal with paradigm at the same time. But paradigm is more advanced, it's less controversial in natural sciences because of the nature of their study of inanimate objects. So, but in sociology and social sciences, how do we describe paradigms? What are paradigms? Paradigms generally can be described as broad viewpoints. Broad viewpoints that allows or enables sociologists or social scientists to possess, to have tools, to have hypotheses, to have methods, based on prescription of the paradigm in which they are operating. That means there are different types of paradigms. But there are usually dominant paradigms. Paradigms that have been accepted as realistic, as to a large extent factual and consistent. And that's the characteristics of a paradigm. It must be consistent at the same time. So when you talk about paradigm, you are talking about, it's a broad viewpoint, a broad way of looking at realities that affect humans. A broad viewpoint that then enables, sociologists or social scientists, to possess, to have necessary tools, necessary hypotheses, necessary thoughts, necessary methodology, based on the prescription, based on the dictates of that paradigm in which the social scientist or the sociologist is operating, in terms of that paradigm in which a sociologist or social scientist is operating. So that paradigm also can also be regarded. Paradigm can also be regarded as accepted set of thoughts. Accepted, don't forget, for a particular thing or body of knowledge to be regarded as a paradigm, then it must have been accepted by significant majority of sociologists or social scientists. That's why I say accepted is very important in the definition of paradigm. Accepted set of thoughts about things, about people, about reality. Paradigm can also be described as worldview. Worldview, that has agreement. Broad view. One. Don't also forget accepted set of thoughts. Don't also forget there must be largely consensus. There must be agreement, about beliefs and practices on realities. So I'm going to give you keywords, because the way to define a particular thing to have understanding is that you must understand the keywords. So there are broad views, there are accepted set of thoughts, there are worldviews or consensus or agreement about beliefs, about practices, relative to realities. You can also talk about paradigms as frameworks of beliefs, of assumptions, of agreements about things, about issues. Frameworks, paradigms essentially then becomes frameworks through which we look at worldview through which we understand reality, viewpoints through which we understand the environment in which we live. And these frameworks then gives you, the right concept, the right methodology, the right thoughts, the right, theories you're going to use, the right methodology you're going to use, essentially. So when you do sociology or when you do social sciences, a paradigm must guide what you do, whether you realize it or not. Because that's why we say, who are you? What approach are you using? We want to understand your paradigm. Because for social scientists, for scientists, for sociologists, paradigm is very important. You want to understand your paradigmatic, existences. Because you cannot build something on nothing. Paradigm is very important. Unfortunately, there's so much confusion about this. And that's why we have prevailing paradigm or dominant paradigm. These are established paradigms that have been seen to be cornerstone in that particular discipline. So we have prevailing paradigm, or what we also call dominant paradigm. And don't forget, and this will lead me to the characteristics of paradigm, in the sense that paradigm can shift. You can have what we call paradigm shift, especially within the framework of the work of Thomas Kuhn in his work on the structure of scientific revolution in 1962. Kuhn, 1962, when he was talking about the fact that you can have paradigm shift. Once a paradigm becomes, a dominant paradigm becomes essentially contradicted, consistently contradicted, then that paradigm will shift. And metaphorically, Kuhn described this kind of paradigm shift that sometimes it can be compared to a revolution that is just swept away and nobody remembers that paradigm again. Nobody uses it again except as history. So the dominant paradigm can be shifted, can be replaced once it is contradicted. So don't forget the issue of paradigm shift. And a major characteristic is also the fact that it's transformative. Paradigms are expected to transform the way we see the world, the way we see our environment, the way we see issue, and give us transformative capacity to change things fundamentally. And paradigms can be falsified. Falsification means, in science, means rejected once proven. You can reject it. Falsification means being proven to be inaccurate. And based on that inaccuracy, then the paradigm is rejected. Falsification means being proven to be inaccurate, being proven to be not dependable. So it's transformative, can be replaced, can be falsified, and it's dynamic. The fact that it can be replaced just means that it's also dynamic. It can change. No paradigm stays forever. It can be revolutionized by being removed. So it's dynamic, and it influences and defines how researches are done. This is very important for us in sociology and social sciences. Your paradigm will influence the concepts you are going to use, will determine your methodology, will guide your research, essentially speaking. And it's a conceptual worldview. Paradigm is a conceptual worldview. It affects how you see the world, how you view the issue you are looking at, and gives you your concept. The key concept you're going to use. You get it from your paradigm. And it consists, formal theory, experiments, and methods that have been proven over time. So your paradigm will give you your theories, your experiments, your method, just as it's giving you your concept. So, and this theory must have been theories that have been proven, experiments have been proven over time. And paradigm and another characteristics is consistently being tested. It's tested in view of the new realities, new experiences in that society. So nobody can say, okay, I have a paradigm and it's forever. It's continually tested. Data is continually gathered. Experiences are continually gathered. You continuously gather data to prove, to test that, because you don't want to rely on inaccurate knowledge. So you keep testing paradigms to be sure that they are consistently reliable, valid. Then, another characteristic of paradigm is that it's continually refined. So you may not totally reject the paradigm, you may not throw it away, but you can also refine it. So once a paradigm shifts, and this is another fact I want to mention, once paradigm shifts, then the concept, the theory, the methods, the findings, the conclusion associated with that paradigm also will be rejected. So it's a simple case of throwing away the baby with the bathwater. Because that means those concepts, those theories, those conclusions, those findings are not going to be useful eventually. That means they've been based on wrong paradigm. And this is very key. Now, let me give you an example of paradigm, especially from the natural sciences. You must have heard about Newtonian mechanics in natural science being replaced with quantum physics. Now everybody is talking about quantum physics. The paradigm that used to guide what we know was the Newtonian mechanics. Then, even in economics, you can talk about neoclassical model of economics. It's a paradigm. When you talk about neoclassical model of economics, everybody in economics understands that. Even basic elementary economics will teach you neoclassical model of economics. That's a paradigm. But in sociology, it's not so straightforward. Sociology being the science of society, it's not so straightforward. There have been debate about paradigm, and that's why I'm dropping this video on paradigm, and I will drop another one on perspective. There's been debate on which one is paradigm, which one is perspective, and what is paradigm, and this and that. So I want to intervene in that. So look forward to that video on perspective. This one is on paradigm. So the paradigm you use in sociology will depend on whether you are talking from the theoretical perspective or you are talking from methodological perspective. Because there's so much overlap, and that's why there's so much confusion. And don't forget, sociology itself is also still being transformed, it's still improving. It's not at the level of law, like you have in natural sciences or physical sciences. So if you're talking about theoretically speaking, from the theoretical angle, in sociology you can talk about functionalism as a broad paradigm that will guide what you're going to do. Then you can talk about conflicts, as another one. Then you can talk about interactionist as another one. Interactionism. If you're talking about, theoretical paradigm or paradigm that can guide what you theorize, is that you're saying, okay, it's functionally relevant, it's conflictual, it's within conflict, or interactionism. So depending on the theoretical angle. But when you're talking about methodology, I'm breaking this down just so as to contribute to knowledge to solve this kind of vexation, intellectually speaking. So when you talk about from the methodological perspective, you can have positivism, which talk about gathering data, gathering evidence. Positivism. Then you can talk about constructivism, constructive paradigm. When you talk about people basing things on their construction of knowledge based on experiences rather than evidence. People using their experiences, to construct knowledge rather than evidence or rather than standardized knowledge. So that's about construction. I have a video on social constructionism on this channel. Talk about construction of knowledge based on experience rather than any objective knowledge. Experience. And I will say more about this when I give you video on perspective. They talk about interpretivism. Interpretivism. When you talk about interpretive sociology, you talk about research method, research analysis that is based on belief, the norms, the values, the culture in context of human behavior. Right? You're going to be interpretative. You're going to be interpretive. You're going to interpret knowledge. You're going to conduct your research from the, within the context of reliance on the beliefs of people, based on beliefs, your analysis, your data collection, your method, your engagement will be based on the beliefs, the norms, the values, the culture in context of human action, in context of human behavior in society. So these are the ways I've broken this perspectives down into 6. I mean, this paradigm. Solely perspective comes to my mind because I'm going to drop on that one. No, I wanted to do a comparative video previously. Say, compare paradigms and perspective. But I think it will be a bit clumsy. That's why I'm breaking it into 2. So do paradigm first, then I'll do perspective. So you can see for yourself. So that's why if you look at it, theoretically speaking, you talk about paradigms, sociology, I've tried to look at 6 paradigms, basically. But if you're looking at theoretically 3, methodologically 3, you talk about theoretically functionalism, conflict, and interactionism. Methodologically, positivism, constructivism, and interpretivism. So these are just the things. Feel free to drop your feedback. We can engage on this. Thank you very much, and please subscribe. Bye for now.